The brutal truth about modern relationships no one dares to admit. The pattern you keep missing. Hello and welcome. Before we begin, take a breath and drop your defenses for a moment. I am not here to attack anyone. I am here to tell you something about female unhappiness that will change how you read every complaint, every criticism, and every eye roll you have ever seen. If this resonates, subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next chapter of this conversation. I learned this the hard way. Through years of relationships that looked different on the surface but repeated like clockwork underneath. Men tell me the same line again and again. Nothing I do is ever good enough. Flowers were the wrong color. The restaurant was the wrong choice. Help with chores was done the wrong way. Not helping meant laziness. Working long hours to provide meant being absent. Staying home more meant a lack of ambition. The criticism was total. It covered every action and every silence. Here is the revelation that frees you from a lifetime of apologies. Most of that global dissatisfaction is not actually about you. What you are seeing is a mechanism inside her that existed before you arrived and will exist after you leave unless she decides to change it. I saw this in my own life. One woman said I was not romantic enough. So with the next I went all in on romance. The next complained I was too soft. I became decisive and firm. Another said I did not consider her opinions. The outcome never changed. Different behaviors. Same dissatisfaction. Why? Because the source lives inside. Some of it is genetic temperament. Some of it is childhood programming. Some of it is the modern fantasy that collides with reality and leaves a wound of perpetual disappointment. Until you understand this, you will waste years trying to fill a bucket with no bottom. You will reshape yourself to fix a problem that does not belong to you, while the target keeps moving because the problem is not the target. This is not a declaration that all women are unhappy. It is an explanation of a pattern that many carry without knowing. When you see it clearly, you stop trying to repair what you did not break and cannot fix for someone else. You begin to reclaim your self-respect, your boundaries, and your peace. That is the promise of this video. We will map the inner mechanism with honesty, then offer a way forward that does not depend on changing another person. If that work is valuable to you, subscribe now so you can keep walking with us to the end. The inner code of unhappiness. What if unhappiness was not an emotion but a program? Something written deep into the psyche long before love, before adulthood, before you ever showed up. That is the part most people never see. They believe unhappiness is triggered by events. But the truth is that for many, it is a state of being, a default. Research shows that nearly half of our personality traits, including optimism or pessimism, are inherited. That means some people are literally wired to focus on what is missing rather than what exists. Their emotional baseline is dissatisfaction. Their normal is complaint. Without deep inner work, this pattern repeats endlessly, no matter how perfect the partner, the house, or the life looks from outside. I have seen this repeat across generations. A grandmother who complained about everything. A mother who never felt satisfied. A daughter who grew up watching that behavior and absorbed it as normal. They could win the lottery, move to paradise, or marry the man of their dreams. And within months they would find new reasons to feel cheated. It is not a conscious choice. It is neural wiring and emotional inheritance combined. But genetics are only the foundation. The true mold is built during childhood. Many unhappy women share two repeating childhood patterns. The first is a broken relationship with the father, absent, abusive, or emotionally unavailable. She grows up believing men will always disappoint her. That belief becomes prophecy. She chooses men who confirm it, or she becomes impossible to please until even good men fail. The second pattern comes from the mother. A little girl watches her mother criticize everything, complain about life, and call it normal. The daughter learns this script word for word. By adulthood she has become her mother's echo, often without realizing it. Even if she swore she would be different, the software is already running. And because the human brain craves familiarity more than happiness, she unconsciously recreates the same misery she once hated. This is how unhappiness becomes generational. It looks like personality, but it is inheritance. It looks like choice, but it is programming. And if you do not see the pattern for what it is, you will keep fighting shadows, believing you can love someone hard enough to overwrite their code. The illusion that breaks every relationship. Let's talk about the expectation gap, the silent killer of modern love. From a young age, many women are raised on a fantasy. the fairy tale of endless romance, effortless happiness, and a man who will somehow heal every invisible wound. Disney, romantic comedies, social media, all sell the same illusion. They teach that happiness is delivered by another person, wrapped in roses and candlelight. Then reality arrives. Bills, chores, routine, human flaws. And the gap between that fantasy and daily life becomes a breeding ground for disappointment. The dream was never real, yet the pain feels real because expectations were. I once knew a woman, beautiful, intelligent, ambitious, who married a man that adored her. 6 months later, she was miserable. She said, "He's not romantic enough," but what she really meant was, "He can't fix the emptiness inside me." She expected marriage to heal the scars from her childhood, to fill the holes in her self-worth, to make her whole, but nothing external can fix what was broken internally. So, when the emptiness remained, she blamed him. He changed jobs, made more money, spent more time with her, but the goalpost kept moving. Every solution became a new complaint, because the dissatisfaction was not about him. It was about the distance between fantasy and reality. Social media made this far worse. Today, everyone lives inside a comparison machine. She scrolls through her feed and sees perfect homes, vacations in Dubai, romantic anniversaries, designer handbags, and each image becomes a reminder of what she doesn't have. She compares her raw, unfiltered life to everyone else's highlight reel and concludes that she is losing, that someone else has the happiness she was promised. This illusion poisons relationships. Because suddenly, the good man next to her isn't enough. The real life she built feels small, and she doesn't realize that every time she chases that illusion, she steps further away from genuine contentment. Until this cycle is recognized, no amount of love will fill the void. Because no relationship can survive when it's being compared to a fantasy. The devaluation mechanism, why enough is never enough. There is a strange psychological law that few people speak about. The moment something becomes hers, it begins to lose value in her eyes. This is not malice. It's a subconscious mechanism, the devaluation of what is possessed. Before she has it, she dreams of it. The chase is electric. The desire is intoxicating. But once she finally holds it, her brain rewires, and what was once a prize becomes ordinary. When she was single, she wanted a boyfriend. She gets one, and now she dreams of marriage. She marries, and suddenly she imagines a different kind of man. She wants curly hair, gets it, and then wants straight hair. She wants freedom, finds it, and then misses stability. This pattern repeats endlessly, because the problem is not the object, it's perception. The same thing happens in relationships. The man who once made her heart race now feels boring. The calm she used to crave becomes too quiet. His attention that once felt romantic now feels suffocating. He hasn't changed, her perception has, but since she doesn't recognize her own pattern, she tells herself a comforting lie: he's not the same man anymore. This mechanism is fueled by constant comparison. Every day, social media whispers, "Look at her life. Look at their love. Look at what you're missing." It tells her that ordinary happiness is failure and that peace means stagnation. So she starts chasing novelty, not because she's greedy, but because she's terrified of stillness. I once met a man who said, "My wife treats me like background noise." He didn't know that her brain had adapted to the very things she once begged for: stability, reliability, consistency. She got what she prayed for, and now she can't feel it anymore. The cruel irony is that the more she has, the less she appreciates, and this cycle can only end when someone decides to stop chasing the new and start seeing the value in what already exists. Until then, happiness will always stay one dream away. The modern trap: how society teaches unhappiness. There's a new kind of programming shaping the modern mind. It tells women they can have it all: career, romance, freedom, luxury, admiration, and inner peace, all at the same time. No trade-offs, no sacrifices. But reality doesn't work that way. Life always asks for balance. When you chase everything, you end up with nothing that feels whole. I've seen it in every form. The woman who builds a brilliant career feels lonely at the top. The mother who dedicates her life to family feels invisible and unfulfilled. The one trying to do both is exhausted, guilty, and convinced she's failing at everything. Each compares herself to the others and believes she drew the short straw. But they are all suffering from the same illusion, the myth of having it all. And in that constant race to be everything, unhappiness becomes an identity. It gives comfort. It gives belonging. Groups of friends bond over complaints. Online communities reward victimhood. Instead of asking, what can I do differently? The world teaches them to ask, who can I blame? Therapy culture, when misused, reinforces this trap. It replaces accountability with endless analysis. A woman can spend years healing and never once ask what she's contributing to her own pain. Every disagreement becomes emotional abuse. Every discomfort becomes trauma. Every ordinary imperfection in her partner becomes a red flag. And instead of growing stronger, she becomes more fragile, armored with psychological vocabulary but starving for perspective. This is not about gender. It's about conditioning. Modern society sells dissatisfaction because it fuels the economy. You'll buy more when you feel incomplete. You'll scroll more when you feel inferior. You'll work harder to impress strangers when you fear being ordinary. The system depends on your unhappiness. And in that system, gratitude feels like rebellion. To pause, to breathe, to say, this is enough, that is the act of freedom. But few dare to do it. Because happiness demands responsibility. You have to look inward. You have to let go of blame. You have to admit that peace is not something you find, it's something you practice. The hard truth and the way out. Here's the truth that many men never want to face. You cannot make an unhappy woman happy. You can love her, support her, protect her, and still fail, because what's broken inside her is not something you can fix from the outside. A man who tries to heal a woman's emptiness will lose himself in the process. He'll start apologizing for existing. He'll walk on eggshells in his own home, afraid that one wrong word will spark another storm. He'll trade his strength for silence, his passion for approval, and the more he gives, the less respect he earns. I've seen good men destroyed like this, men who spent years, even decades, trying to make someone else whole. But the truth is brutal. If she was unhappy before you, she'll be unhappy with you. And she'll be unhappy after you. Because happiness is not transferred, it's chosen. This doesn't mean all women are doomed to unhappiness. Not at all. It means that peace only comes to those who take responsibility for it. The woman who learns to stop comparing, to stop blaming, to face her own reflection without excuses, she becomes radiant. And the man who stops chasing approval, who rebuilds his boundaries and self-worth, he becomes unshakable. The healing begins when both stop trying to change each other and start mastering themselves. That's the real revolution. Self-awareness over projection. Gratitude over comparison. Growth over victimhood. So if you've ever found yourself drowning in the impossible task of making someone else happy, let this be your wake-up call. Step out of that prison. You are not the cure for another person's pain. You are responsible only for your peace, your discipline, your purpose. If these words hit something deep inside you, remember this moment, reflect on it, and if you want to keep walking this road towards strength, clarity, and emotional freedom, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Because here, we don't chase illusions, we build truth. Now, I want to ask you one question. Have you ever tried to fix someone's unhappiness, only to lose yourself in the process? Share your story in the comments. Someone out there needs to hear it, and you might just be the one who gives them clarity.